Hello, welcome back to another episode of George Reviews. In this episode, we'll be talking about the latest Aster joint, Beau's Afraid. Starring Joaquin Phoenix, Aster, famous for Midsummer and Hereditary. So let's jump right into it, right now on George Reviews. So to explain Beau's Afraid is a challenge among anyone. Really, it defies having a synopsis, but we can try to give it one. To put it simply, the film follows Beau, played by Joaquin Phoenix, and he is going on a Odyssey epic trip to visit his mother. And Beau is riddled with anxiety and depression and lots of mental health issues, so to speak. And the film is about him getting to his mother's and the fact that he can never have sex, because that's what killed his father. So this film's been out for a while, and I've been wanting to talk about it so bad because it's been on my mind. It's been on my mental state since I saw it in theaters. It's a 3-hour film, so it's very, very long, a very daunting task to review this film. And I wanted to say full-on spoilers. You've been warned. So it follows this odyssey, this travel, this traversing of trying to get to his mother's house. And while on the way, he is met with some tragic circumstances, living in a chaotic society, and it's kind of hard to tell whether this is all in his head or this is the reality of the film, which is something I love about it. I love that we don't really know the reality of the film. This could all be in Beau's head, it's very opened up to interpretation, which are films I truly love, ones that are kind of, left into your own mind to kind of come up with your own devices and kind of come up to your own conclusions. I'll be getting into that definitely in this review for sure. But to put it simply, Beau needs to see his mother. He is met with a lot of chaos and depravity in his environments, and he gets hit by a car. He gets hit by a car and almost dies, and is put into care of this wonderful couple played by Nathan Lane and Amy Ryan and their very, very angsty teenage daughter. And it just kind of goes on from there. This film's kind of divided into 4 parts, so 4 chapters, even though there's no chapter breaks, there's no intermissions within the film at all. But it was very, very interesting, and a lot of criticisms out there, which we'll get into, about the 3-hour runtime and how things that you could probably cut out. But I really feel that the film needs to be this way. It needs to have that full effect, a full anxious kind of nightmare effect. It has comedic effect and it has dramatic effect at the same time. And it's very much a fucking nightmare, one that I, welcome with open arms and true transparency. I just wanted to love this film. I really wanted to go into it loving it, and I did. A little background on me and Aster. It's been kind of a little bit of, I don't want to say turmoil. I saw his first film, Hereditary, in theaters. I'm not much of a horror film guy when it comes to traditional horror, when it's kind of on the surface type scares. There are definitely some horrific parts in Hereditary, but I didn't really find the overall experience very scary, at least in the second half. The first half's definitely very horrific and very just shock and awe, literally. And I just didn't really find the second half of Hereditary very compelling. It was good. I liked it. I'd probably give it 3.5 stars if I was giving it a rating, but I just didn't really gel with me that much. Now, Midsummer in 2019, that's where he came into his own, commercially and artistically. I'm kidding. No, but in all seriousness, I really love Midsummer. I wasn't really going into that expecting much, since I wasn't really big on Hereditary. I liked it enough to want to see what he come up with next. And I gotta say, I fucking love Midsummer. I thought it was very, very creepy, not very scary again, but he definitely brings in the scares. Beau is Afraid, I will tell you. We'll get into that. I didn't really find the film, either Hereditary or Midsommar, very, very scary. They're very creepy, they're very frightening at times, very shocking visuals, and very rough, tragic circumstances in both films. But I just didn't find them that scary. It's really hard to scare me. If you're bringing me something like Gaspar Noé and Irreversible, yeah, you can probably freak me the fuck out. That's true horror to me, as the reality of very, very fucked up shit. So to speak. That's trailing off into another dimension of conversation. Maybe we'll talk about Irreversible someday. But we were talking about Beau's Afraid. I really love Midsommar. I thought Florence Pugh really just held that film on her shoulders, and Toni Collette definitely held the film on her shoulders with Hereditary, and Joaquin Phoenix holds this film together. Beau's Afraid is masterful. It's just completely masterful. It completely just blew me away. It's very surreal. It's very funny. It's very dark. It's just all of it. It is a lot. It is all the things that I would want in a film. Going back to the surreal, it definitely has an Inland Empire feel by David Lynch. Was another 3-hour film, though they're very different in terms of the context of their stories or plot. And I would say Beau's Afraid is a lot more focused than Inland Empire. I will admit that, and even as a big David Lynch fan, Inland Empire is kind of a chore to sit through. This, not so much, but it's still a lot to take in with every chapter, every kind of segment, sequence in the film. It goes all over the map. We have the first part of it is very chaotic, is very disturbing in a way, trying to trying to survive throughout. It's watching Beau kind of survive his environment, his circumstances. He's living in an apartment, and he's surrounded by chaos and murder and all the fucked up things in society all rolled into one. We can't tell if this is just his perception on the way society is or what could happen. Anxiety is very tricky like that. The things that we are scared of and the things that can make us feel paralyzed. Is it really all in his head, or is this the reality of the film? It's presented in such a unique and brilliant way that I just got a lot out of. So we have the first part of the film like that, and then he gets hit by a car, and then it's more of an isolated incident. Where Beau is kind of in the care of this couple, Amy Ryan and Nathan Lane, played brilliantly by both, and their teenage daughter. From the name of the teenage daughter, actress is escaping me, but she was very great as well. The whole sequence was just really amazing. It's kind of a refuge of taking care of the more mentally unstable types of patients, and Beau becomes a patient to them. Teenage daughter pressures him into getting high, smoking pot, and even drinking paints, which turns into real tragedy. And there's a lot of surreal and nightmarish moments that kind of happen along the way in this sequence. And then we have this kind of third sequence where he runs off, and he kind of comes into more of a dreamlike surrealness type of vibe, I guess is the best way I could describe it. He goes into this kind of dreamlike state. He goes and sees these theater performers, and he's kind of seeing himself on stage. What I like to think as the road not taken, the life he could have had if he had children, if he wasn't feared into never having sex by his narcissistic, controlling mother, which we'll get to in a little bit. And along the way, it is revealed that his mother died by having a chandelier falling on her head in a very awkward conversation in the first part. I'm trying not to get too screwy with the timeline here, because it really fucks with your mind. It's really a big mind fuck. To quote Inland Empire. But yeah, it is a big mind fuck of a film.
It's kind of laid a mind fuck on me.
But it does stay on some kind of track, unlike Inland Empire, which is all over the place. You kind of see Zero Not Taken, him as a father and him as an old man being reunited with his sons. And then it turns back into chaos, or one of the biggest patients of Nathan Lane escapes and goes into this theater troupe and starts murdering people. And Bose is trying to survive this as well, and he finds his journey straight to his mother's, where he missed the funeral, so to speak, quote unquote funeral. But really, it was all just a test. It wasn't, I wouldn't say a test, but, just a mirage of how he would react to his mother's death. All along, we're kind of shown in flashback about a girl that Beau met at a very young age who he fell in love with. And it's a very, very interesting kind of story. And we're seeing scenes of him and his mother kind of together, and seeing kind of the hold she has on her son, or the hold that she wants to have on her son. And it's very, very woven into everything else, which is very, very interesting. He makes it back to his mother's house, and he is reunited with the lost love of his life as that he met as a teenager, or as a young boy, played by Parker Posey, who still got it. She's just absolutely fantastic in this brief role that she has, and they have very hilarious, awkward sex. That's the only way I could really describe it, and it kind of ends hilariously and absurd as the whole film is. She ends up dying afterwards, and then it's revealed that his mother is alive, and they clean up the mess. There's a lot of confrontation between Beau and his mother. His mother wanted to receive the same kind of love that she was giving her son, and that just Beau wasn't capable of delivering that in the way that she sees fit.
Even when you were a baby, you rejected me and refused to breastfeed, while every other smug cunt on the street had happy, docile babies sucking their tits dry.
We see this therapist character who were introduced from the beginning, kind of in on everything too, and exploiting his conversations as an insight into how he really feels about his mother to his mother. And it gets all really fucked up, and he has these very traumatic memories of who his father is or was, and there was another brother. It all gets kind of confusing, and I'm trying my best to keep it linear as much as possible. But he finds out that his father is, and this is just in the film, this could be part of a psychosis. His father is a giant cock. It's a giant penis. It is just really, really disturbing. Probably the most disturbing thing in the film. And that's kind of the truth of everything. He's kept locked away in the basement, or in the attic, I should say. So he keeps locked up in the attic. And it is just very, very fucked. And then we kind of go into that kind of climax, literally kind of goes into the final segment of the film, where he is confronted by his mother and his mother's lawyer, played by Richard Kind, which was really surprising to see Richard Kind in this kind of movie. I mean, he's in, Spin City and he's a great character actor. Curb Your Enthusiasm, check him out. He's great. But it was really interesting to see him as the in-your-face kind of lawyer to Beau, giving demonstrations and examples of how cruel he was to his mother growing up, and giving something that his mother gave him to someone he met in the theater troupe. And it all just kind of comes crashing down on Beau, and he's on a boat, and he's surrounded by like an amphitheater, I guess. Is the best way I could describe it. And he pretty much implodes with the boat. The boat's motor keeps getting, it's building up. The lawyer, keeps, going in his face, going in, trying to guilt him into some kind of confession or realization, until the boat kind of motor crashes out. and kills Beau, and then the film ends, and it's amazing. Just really, truly amazing stuff. I probably wasn't making any sense kind of describing the events of the film, sort of to review it and kind of take it down and just kind of show what we have to analyze. And this is going to be like a full looking glass, magnifying glass, and analyzation of the entire film. But this is just something that I just really, really loved, and I really wanted to talk about the events of the film and my basically take on it. But my analyzation, it's not a word, my analysis. Yes, my analysis. To simplify it, to kind of simplify it, and that's why I like to do a lot more surreal films, kind of just simplify it, ground it into reality, and kind of just see what the big picture is. And there's a moment in the beginning where Beau writes a little suicide note on his prescription bottle cap. And I really feel like this whole thing is conjuring up in his psychosis as he's dying of an overdose, or as he finally commits suicide, everything that he was kind of going through. These were events in his life, in his past. They're just all conjured up in this psychosis. And it's just really fucked up and torturing and tormenting himself to the brink of suicide. And he goes through with it, and he does die. And then the film ends. It's a very, very ominous way to end. It just shows the boat in water and people leaving the amphitheater. It's so fucking cold. And I love that. I just love a good end credit sequence, very much like I've talked about Pearl. That is another great end credit sequence as well. And it was just an amazing, amazing journey. But that's kind of my simplified analysis on the film. Is I really feel like a lot of it was all in his head. It's all his perception about the world, about society, about love, about life, about the road not taken, about peer pressure, and just all of it, all of it just kind of wrapped around in this crazy enigma of a film. And I just absolutely loved it. And there's been a lot of criticisms about this film. Definitely was hit harshly with criticisms when it was first in its initial run in theaters. And it's just an amazement that A24 distributed this and put it out there in theaters. A 3-hour-long magnum opus of Ari Aster. And I believe this was a short film called Beau. I believe this is the film that he always wanted to make, but of course they weren't going to give, somewhat unknown. He had done a few shorts before Hereditary. All this freedom to make an ambitious project that, anyone in their right mind, even, Ari Aster is big, but he's not like Scorsese big. He's not Tarantino big, and it's just like so fascinating that A24 would do this. I think it's very hopeful that, studios will take chances on good art. And yeah, it didn't make a lot of money. It will probably never make its budget back, but it is an amazing astonishment that this was out and we got to see this, experience this on the big screen in the cinematic quality that it deserves. I mean, forget Barbie, forget Oppenheimer, forget all those whatever, the big attention. This, I feel, is one of the best films of the year. I would put this and Infinity Pool up as some of my favorite films so far this year, though I've not seen a few films I do want to check out. So just keep that in mind. More reviews will be coming soon on those. So there have been criticisms about what to take out, what to leave and cut back. And a lot of reviewers, people I love and respect. I have no beef or anything. I just have a difference of opinion, which happens, in the sphere of YouTube, that, the theater sequence could be completely cut out. And I just feel like it's part of the atmosphere. It is part of the scenery, the environment of the film, trying to kind of see Beau's fantasy of the road not taken, the road of him being a father and being reunited with that kind of feeling again. I really just thinking about it now, that's just kind of how I feel about it. And I really feel that you wouldn't have the same effect. I think this film being 3 hours long needs to have that effect of it being crazy, being sporadic, being all over the place, but being a very kind of held down, long, grueling experience. And, on my rewatch, I definitely watched it in parts. I'm not going to lie. I find it very hard, especially sitting down, starting a 3-hour film. And I do this with Inland Empire all the time, not to oversight that film. But, it's just, it can be very daunting starring like a 2.5 hour to 3 hour, magnum opus of a film. And I think Ari Aster should be goddamn proud that he got to make this. And it's out there, and I think more people are starting to appreciate it more on digital or on Blu-ray or however, you watch a distributed film, streaming wise or whatever. The appreciation is going to grow further and further, and I really feel this film will be somewhat of a classic, maybe a cult classic, but definitely something that will rise up the ranks of a lot of great A24 films like The Lobster, The Lighthouse, or even Midsommar and Hereditary. I really feel this is Ari Aster's best film, in my opinion. I loved every minute of it, even though it was kind of a challenge sitting through those 3 hours. At parts, some of the pacing isn't like perfect, but I would not cut out a single thing at all. Like, I feel like when a filmmaker has a vision and a filmmaker needs to explore that vision, in every way that he can, that he's allowed to, or that money will buy in the budget, I really feel that should be explored, and we should respect that vision. I mean, fuck audiences, though, not really, but seriously, like, these films need to have more, people need to have more respect when it comes to an artistic vision, especially from Ari Aster, who has earned the respect for us to sit through this film and digest it and analyze it and dissect it and everything that comes along with it. And I just really feel that people should be more mindful and be more respectful. Not saying every critic who has criticisms is being disrespectful. So brilliant. Despite its runtime, despite itself, it is brilliant. And I think that's really all I have to say about Beau's Afraid. I know that probably came off a little ranty. It's been a while since I've done a review, so please bear with me. But I just, I love this film. I had to talk about it in every way that I can. And it was just truly amazing. And I hope you will check out Beau's Afraid. Obviously, I hope you've already seen it if you were watching this review. Obviously, I would recommend it if you're into surreal nightmare 3-hour comedies, or anything like A24 or Neon. I really feel that as much of a brand A24 has become, I really feel this really stands out, even like a sore thumb, but it still stands out, and I highly praise it. It's one of my favorite films of the year. It might be my favorite film of the year. I'm not sure yet. But, despite the runtime, despite all that, I would give Beau's Afraid 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely not perfect, but no film is. I've given other films higher ratings, but Beau's Afraid is one that's kind of sticking with me a lot more. But that's going to be my thoughts on Beau's Afraid. But what did you think? Yes, you watching. What did you think about Beau's Afraid? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you make it through it okay? Did you come out a different person? Because I know I did after watching it. I came out as a way different person than from what I first saw it. But whatever your thoughts, let me know down there in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you'd be so kind. My name is George Ray. Thank you so much for tuning into this review. Please remember to keep calm, keep cool, keep chill. Embrace great cinema. Embrace Beau's Afraid. I'll see you on the next video. Until then, peace out.